TIFU by losing my fingers. Some backstory. I'm a young teacher working in a preschool and I was born a few fingers short. My arm isn't like a normal palm minus a few fingers. It's really slim and has the palm space to fit only the 3 fingers I have, including my thumb. Kids tend to notice my hand very quickly and, as kids do, make comments about it. Because of that, and having worked with kids since I was old enough to start babysitting, I've heard every possible rude comment, funny joke, or odd question. I've also gotten into the habit of making up ways I lost my fingers, so that everyone knows if I'm telling young kids a story about how I lost my fingers, I keep it PG and tell them the truth immediately after. Now on to my screw-up. At the beginning of the school year, while in a silly mood and while helping some kids do a balance beam, a couple of my students noticed my hand and asked me about it. Without really thinking, I said, "Oh, they fell off earlier and I forgot to put them back on." That was the wrong thing to say. Within a few minutes, the story spread, and panic ensued. Some kids were crawling on the ground looking for my fingers. Others were trying to pat me down to see if my fingers are in my pockets. And still more were crying and holding their fingers to keep them from falling off. It took some time and some help from a coworker to calm everyone down, at which point we explained that it was a joke and that I was just born without a few fingers. We then went inside and I held a lesson on how people are born differently and made sure to let parents know the full story during pickup. Everything is fine. The parents think it's funny and none of the kids needed therapy, but I haven't lived it down since. My students' siblings won't come near me. When I'm introduced to grandparents, I'm the teacher. And every new staff member has been told that story during their tour of the school. We'll see if it still sticks next year, but right now this is what I'm known for to everyone. TL. Doctor, I told my students my fingers fell off and they believed me. My dad has a stumpy pinky from a lawnmower accident when he was a toddler. The 50s hit different. His "how I lost my finger" joke is that he pretends it's stuck up his nose and he asks the kid for help getting his hand off his face. Like he sticks his stump inside his nose and pretends he can't get it out. Then when the kid helps him, he looks at his finger stump and screams like it just fell off. 10 out of 10 best way to get kids to stop picking the nose. 0 tenths at not traumatizing them. My twin sister and I were both born without a knuckle on one hand. We used to tell kids in school our mom was shot in the stomach when she was pregnant, and somehow, miraculously, it only took a knuckle from each of us. My mom tells people we were holding hands in the womb. That's so cute that they tried to help you find the lost fingers. So gullible and adorable at the same time, it just makes you feel bad, lol. Seems like you've been fingered as the cool teacher. Ha. I think it's hilarious. But I come from a family where making up funny, scary stories to freak out the kids was like constant amusement for the adults. It reminds me of something I did once, by accident. When I was in 9th grade, my school had us going down to mentor disabled kids in an after-school program. I was assigned a fun little guy named Jesse, 6 years old or so. He was a little bit blind. I've never been good with kids myself, and I'm also kind of a neat freak. So Jess is a particularly gross kid in the way that he's always sticking his fingers in his nose and rubbing the floor, putting things in his mouth and stuff like that. And before snack time, he never washes his hands with soap like the other kids. So one day it gets to me when I see him just wave his hands at the sink before snack time, and I tell him he should wash his hands really well because there's germs on them. I ask if he knows what germs are. He says no. So I tell him, germs are these tiny invisible monsters that are crawling all over your hands. You can't see them or feel them. But they're there. Jesse freaks out, starts washing his hands obsessively. I'm like, okay, that's enough. But the next time I'm there, the teacher tells me he's been doing it all the time. Apparently this went on and they had to make him stop. Have you looked under the sofa? You did the old bait and switch twice you. LMAO, I'm glad it's not from a woodshop accident like I was expecting. But a very innocent joke and the kids even went out of their way. Super cute all around. 10 out of 10 would read again. You are a delight.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.